I know if you're viewing it from space it's not an eclipse, but this is a quick way to cast shadows without ray tracing. Hey and welcome to Making Space. This is a really simple technique using another often overlooked effect and an easy to use expression. If you're using a 3D package like the included C4D Light or even Element 3D, then those packages already include the ability to do shadows. But you do lose a bit of control in the name of realism. Video Copilot's excellent free Orb plugin is designed to make planets directly in After Effects, but it doesn't do shadows. I based an entire tutorial playlist around using Orb to make all the planets in the solar system, and even showed how to use lights and keying to fake shadows on Mars. This tutorial will work with both Orb and CC Sphere. Let's get started. Here I am in After Effects. I'll show you the technique first, then how to create a complete Earth-Moon system. Here's the comp, it's 1080p, and I'll go to Layer, New, Solid. Make it comp sized, white, and after clicking OK, I'll hit enter and rename it to Shadow Catcher, and then add the Orb effect. Then create another solid. Make this 2x1, that is 2000 pixels by 1000. Rename this to Shadow Text. Orb uses 2x1 textures, so it would stretch a little bit if we left it comp sized. Go to Effect, Generate, Circle. Change the colour to black and set the effect's blending type to normal. So now we see the white background with a black circle. Now go to Layer, New, Null Object. Make this 3D and name it Planet Null. Hit P to expose the position keyframes and then select the Shadow Catcher layer. In the Effects Control panel, double click on the position. This appears in the timeline. So now we can use the pick whip and link Orb's position to the Null's position. Click back on the Planet Null layer and holding Control, tap D to duplicate the Null. Rename this to Moon Rotation Null and using the Planet dropdown, make it a child of Planet Null. Almost done with the setup. Create another solid, make this one square. Make it 3D and then name it Moon. You can either select the elliptical mask tool and double click that to add a circular mask, or you can add a circle effect to it. Make this layer a child of Moon Rotation Null, and expanding its position properties, drag it out on the x-axis, and go to Layer, Transform, Auto Orient, and choose Orient towards Camera. Now also go to Layer, New, Light, and add a parallel light. Expose the position property of the Planet Null layer and expand the light's transform properties. Then use the pick whip to link the light's point of interest to the Null's position. So wherever we move the light, it will always be shining on the planet. So we've just created a really basic planetary orbit system. Using Moon Rotation's Null properties, I can move the Moon around in an orbit. Obviously when it goes behind the planet, I'll need to add in a track matte. Ask in the comments if you're not sure what to do. And so now, we want to animate the circle effect on Shadow Text to, well, shadow the Moon's position. And that brings us to the overlooked effect I mentioned. With the Shadow Text layer selected, go to Effect, Distort, Offset. This effect can be used to create rolling frames, moving backgrounds, shift the edges of fractal noise to the center so it can be blended, that sort of thing. For us, it will allow us to reposition the circle anywhere in the texture and loop it back around. Switch the view to top, and using the offset's Y value, drag the circle up so we can see it more easily. And now drag the X value until the circle disappears into the shadow, and make a note of the value. Next, drag the X in the other direction until it disappears again. These values will be different based on where the sun is, but you'll see just how easy it is to correct later. While still in the top view, zoom out until you can see the planet, moon, and sunlight, and expand the Moon Rotation Null's rotation controls. Easiest way is to select the layer and hit R. Adjust the Y rotation value until the moon layer would no longer be casting a shadow on the planet. And note that value. and then do the same for the other direction. Switch the view back to active camera, and here's the simple expression I was talking about. It's called linear, and for those familiar with coding, you can think of this as a range mapper. I'm going to feed in a Y rotation value, specify the maximum and minimum angles, and then tell it offsets maximum and minimum positions, and After Effects will move it accordingly. So holding the Alt key, click on the offset position stopwatch and type x equals linear, brackets, and use the pick whip to link to the Moon Rotation Null's Y rotation value, comma, and type in the lower of the two angles, comma, and then type the other angle, comma, and now add in the offset position which corresponds to the first angle you entered, comma, and now the second position, close brackets, semicolon, y equals, and for now let's set this manually using value, square brackets, 1, which is the value you choose for y. Close up the brackets, semicolon, square brackets, x, comma, y, close square brackets. And that's it. Now when I adjust the Y rotation, the moon layer orbits around the planet and the shadows follow it. Adjusting any of the angles or positions alters the final position, so if you move the sun you do have to update the expression. I suppose you could just rotate the planet null instead, but that's up to you. And the reason I chose to use the offset effect instead of just using the expression on the circle is that I can replace the shadow text solid with a pre-comp, which lets me do all sorts of funky things, like having text cast shadows. Or maybe I want a giant spaceship and this is easier than learning how to use 3D software. In this spaceship example, I've replaced the Y offset with its own linear expression, linked to the Moon Rotation Z rotation. Setting the size of the object in the pre-comp lets you denote the scale of the spaceship. Like I said, this is a quick solution compared to ray tracing 3D programs, but then again, if it looks good, does it matter? And speaking of looking good, I would look great if... Yeah, that's a terrible segue. Please just like and subscribe. You come for the tutorials, not the clever jokes after all. As promised, here's how to use what I've shown you with the Earth and Moon. First off, you'll need an Earth setup. You can either grab the one from my Earth Storm tutorial, or Aurora or Geo Labels, or there's this small YouTube channel I found. Andy Cromer, I think his name is. He's just some kid who's made one or two tutorials. Anyway, he made an Ultra Earth tutorial all about how to use Video Copilot's orb. Hit pause on this video, go grab the project, or watch Adrian Kramer's guide and then come back here and... unpause. Hey, you're back. I bet YouTube put an ad break in there, didn't they? So, in case you used Drew Comer's tutorial, first thing you need to do is create a new null object. Name it Earth Null and make it 3D. And then open up each of the orb effects on the timeline and link the orb position to this null object. Okay, you don't have to do this step, but it's a good idea anyway. Next, duplicate this null object and rename this one to Moon Rotation. Parent it to Earth Null. Yeah, we're creating the steps from right at the start. Duplicate this and call it Moon Position. And parent it to Moon Rotation and move it out as far as you want. If you're being scientifically accurate, and if your Earth orb has a radius of 200 pixels, you need to place the Moon 11,000 pixels away. For now, I'm just going to set it at 600 pixels. Okay, now for the Moon itself. And in September 2019, NASA released its Moon Kit. Highly detailed texture maps of the Moon designed for 3D software. I mean, it would be rude not to use them. Download those, I went with the 2K versions, and bring them into your comp, and turn off their visibility. Create a new solid, comp sized, and call it Moon. Add the orb effect, and set its radius to be 1/3 of Earth's. I make that 54 pixels. In map, set the normal texture to rock color poles, and the bump to use the dem unt. Presumably that means something to someone. We can't use our pick whip trick to link the moon to the moon null, because if you look at the moon null's coordinates, they are zeroed to be based off moon rotation. So we're going to use one of Dan Ebberts' amazing expressions that I've used many times before. L for layer equals, and use the pick whip to select your moon position null. Semicolon, new line, L.toWorld, note the capital W, brackets, L.anchor point, close brackets. This provides the world coordinates of the moon position null. And now it's simply a case of duplicating the Earth orb, moving it above the other Earth orb layers, and following the steps we did before, create a shadow texture layer, add a circle, add the offset effect, set this to be the texture for the Earth's shadow layer, and use the linear expression to match the shadow to the moon's position. And you're done! A simple, quick to set up and quick to render Eclipse from space. And if you liked that tutorial, maybe check out the original 2D effect, all done on a single layer, with a slightly clever expression which jumps the lens flare from one side of the moon to the other to create the diamond ring.